Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and welcome to everyone on our today's first webinar. We are excited for you to join with us on this insightful discussion. The topic that we have taken over is the future-proofing your organization and preparing for the next wave of digital transformation with ServiceNow. So, this is a something that we are quite passionate about talking because of the evolving digital landscape that is going faster than ever before, and keeping pace with the technological advancement is crucial for long-term success. So throughout this webinar, we will be exploring how global market shifts and the technological advancements are accelerating this digital transformation. What role does ServiceNow play in this innovation, and what are the best practices, future proofing of your organization, and of course, the impact that emerging technologies like AI they have on your business operations. And then we will also discuss about the points like the actionable steps that organizations may take for this digital journey. So for all of this discussion, we have Anwar Aziz with us today. Uh, so I will let Anwar take it over from here. So Anwar, please give us a small introduction about yourself, your experiences, and everything.
Hi everyone. I'm glad to have you and having a discussion about the digital transformation. Anwar Aziz, talking to you from lovely Sydney in Australia. It's a bit late in here. It's 9 p.m. I uh, I guess most of you may be in the Middle East. If you can please in the chat just post your location just to see where people joining this seminar. I'm a principal engagement manager with the Action Hub at the moment, but I've been working in ServiceNow delivery for the last since 2016, working with some elite ServiceNow partners like DXC, Silverstone, which is the Spanish ServiceNow partner, and currently is part of Cognizant, and AC3, which is the Australian ServiceNow partner. My focus was always I get excited about ServiceNow and I get excited about the Now Create. I post a lot in the LinkedIn. So please, if you're not following me, feel free to connect and follow the posts. Okay, today we're talking about the digital transformation. Can I confirm, Hussein, that's you're able to hear me well and you're able to see the presentation? Awesome. You are in mute, but I guess that was a yes. So
Yes, of course, of course.
I'll take it from there.
Uh,
So I think the first question is why we talk about the digital transformation at this time. It's an exciting time. I think everyone knows we like in a turning point in the history of technology and IT. But some interesting discussions in the background is, are we doing digital transformation right? Have we been doing it all wrong all the time? I actually was reading the other day, few days back in the CIO magazine topic about this, and what they found from researchers from Gartner, KPMG, that's around 80% of the boss admit they are failing at digital transformation. That's almost third quarter of the or more than that. 50% or 51% companies they haven't seen any ROI from digital investments. 70% of the initiatives still fall short of delivering a real value. So what that telling us? It's actually telling us there's something wrong, right? And I like the expression that what we've been doing is actually not a transformation. It was more of a digitization, or maybe digital dress up. What we mean by that is rather than changing the process, rather than changing what we do, we've been just implementing technology to legacy processes, and we end up adding more silo. You will hear me in this webinar mention a lot about the silo, which is something ServiceNow is working really hard to tackle. It's one of the issues. We have technologies, silos, they don't talk to each other. It's the traditional way of running IT, and which ServiceNow is trying to disrupt. So the reason we're talking about digital transformation, it's a good time to talk, and it's a time to change what we've been doing. We have to think differently. We have to reimagine enterprise-wide operations, enterprise architecture, and work on what we call it a digital-first world. Um, I like this expression. I was actually listening to this interview with Bill, the CEO of the ServiceNow. If you like to watch the interview, you can search it in the internet. You can check my profile. I've posted in the one of the latest posts. And what he said is, the world has never changed this fast and will never move this slow again. It's not getting any slower from here. The changes we used to hear and read every 2 years and 3 years, now they come every month. We literally hear about something new almost every week. It's keep changing, right? So it's very exciting time. The time, I always say this, like the time of change is an exciting time because it's time for opportunities as well. By the way, if you have any question, you have any comment, feel free to use the messages. Our friend is going to be helping is going to helping Hussein will be helping to read the questions later. So I'll be talking about that was just an introduction why we're talking about digital, and it's an exciting time. My focus in this webinar is going to be about four things. What are the trends or driving the market for the ServiceNow? And I understand from Hussein is majority of the attendees coming from Middle East or GCC region. So I'll put a little bit extra focus. I hope that you've already posted your where you're connecting from, and Hussein can at some point can tell us. But I'm assuming that many of you actually connecting from Middle East or the Gulf GCC region. That's why I created one slide specifically for GCC. And then last thing is what can you do as an organization? Um, the important thing and disclaimer I have to say is this is a massive topic, and we won't be able to cover everything in this half an hour or so or 20 minutes. So this is just takeaways that you can consider. Talking about the market, we have to understand the ServiceNow market itself is a massive market, right? So the ServiceNow market is expected to be $100 billion by 2030. And it's like changing very fast. Like in 2024, it was 46 billion. 2023, it was 40. So increasing very, very fast. Um, However, this market is pushed by different things coming from recent years, like the digital transformation, which is main topic for this webinar. But I want just to highlight that the pandemic in 2020 was a big thing, and that's a very special year for everyone and for me, because my little daughter was born is actually in 2020, so I can't forget that year. Um, 83 of the enterprises uh, uh, decided to put digital workflows post the pandemic as a priority. ServiceNow did really well, launched around 4 new community applications during the pandemic, showing the agility of the ServiceNow. So that's definitely there's an era pre or before COVID and after COVID. Um, AI and hyper automation. Everyone is talking about AI. It's very hard nowadays to attend any presentation or any discussion about technology without talking about AI. Actually, to my previous point, that's digital transformation. Many writers and influencers started to use AI transformation rather than digital transformation. So it's changing everything. The market of the automation is hitting 1.55 billion by 2030. So it's a massive market, to the point it's actually impacting other markets, and we'll talk about that. Rise of micro verticals. And what I mean by micro verticals, it's industry specific applications. So you're talking about oil, you're talking about healthcare, and we'll touch on how ServiceNow is leading in that space using no code, low code innovation. The mandates for compliance, for governance. You've seen the act in US about privacy in the Eurozone, also in the Middle East. Definitely with that AI, there are many ethical challenges and security challenges related to point number 6. That's the security now is a big thing. Actually, the security attacks in the it's actually increased by 130% in 2023. So massive challenges when it comes to security. Another driver was the cloud adoption. And when we go back to the region, we see this is a big thing. And I personally was really glad because I did an implementation in for ServiceNow in 2018 in Saudi Arabia. And I found at that time one of the challenges, many companies request to do implementations on premises, and I've heard this is a bit changing. It's a big thing, but I know there are Saudi Arabia, UAE, they created laws for supporting cloud adoption, which is an important for the service now. ServiceNow trends, and this is global and also related to the region, but we talked about the digital transformation, and ServiceNow is already ahead. I have just to know that 85% of the Fortune 500 companies actually using ServiceNow as we speak. So ServiceNow is a leader when it comes to the digital transformation. And I've seen, and most probably most of you notice as well, is the ECM enterprise service management is now very common, and you can see ServiceNow is moving a little bit towards that enterprise solution. Most probably last week or the week before, you've heard about the CRM that ServiceNow is launching CRM. And it's not a surprise, and you know that. I'm not sure if you know about Bill, the ServiceNow COO, but he used to be the SAP COO for 17 years. So actually, he's coming from the ERP space, and I'm not surprised to see touches on that. Uh, the official announce from ServiceNow is we're not ERP solution and we're not trying to be ERP, but as you can see, they're touching some of the areas. HR is already there, CRM is already there, procurement to some extent, asset management, ITAM, and so on. It's all areas of touch at the moment. The AI, we talked about it. It's a massive service now actually tried by themselves. I think one of the very interesting things I've heard about the AI, and when I talk about AI, I'm talking about generative AI, and I'm talking about agentic AI as well, which is launched by ServiceNow. That's by 2028 they're expecting to be 15% of their daily work will be done by AI agents. And you might think the difference between the generative AI and agentic AI. I like to say generative AI like assistants. So you need to feed them, and they come back, they return back to you. However, agentic AI is more proactive. You can think about it as a co-worker rather than being an assistant. It can take autonomous. It can take decisions and decide. We can talk about AI all day, but this presentation is not about AI. The region in Middle East, they are now leaders actually in AI and in data. And I've heard a very interesting announcement from the Saudi Ministry of Finance when he said, we hoping that we sell data in the future rather than selling oil. So there's a big shift in the region from creating that diversification and moving to technology. ServiceNow implemented AI. They're able to slash the time of issue resolution by 80%. And that's the interesting thing about AI. Like before, when we implement a solution or a new technology, you hear like, oh, this is improve the time by 10%, 15%, 25%, and you say, wow. Now, when we talk about AI, you hear about like 80%, 90%, 85% customer self-service rate increase, 3 billion, 3 million hours of employee capacity being reduced in within the service now, just using the AI. And see, the Middle East is not far. I've heard about Saudi Telecom implementing AI. UAE Bank deployed AI as well, which is slashing call center volume by 30%. So the region is doing really great when it comes to the AI. Another thing is about related to the security service resilience. ServiceNow is not new to that. There are IRM, there are SecOps, and Vault applications, which is enhancing security. We mentioned before the big threat of the security, and actually it's coming with the AI as well. So they're working together and creating bigger challenges for the organizations. Um, ESG, that's a big thing as well, sustainability, environment, social government, and it's a big thing world wide. And I was really happy to hear that the Saudi Central Bank actually implemented the ECG management from ServiceNow, which is great to hear. Last one in the trends, and I'm moving very fast just due to the time limitations, the workflow data fabric, which is basically created, it's like architecture to for silo busting. It's allow you to connect to ERP in a way without bringing the data over. So what's really nice about the data fabric is you don't need to bring the schema or the data. You can use the metadata. you can use this architecture to connect to ERP, CRM, Internet of Things, and it can increase your transactions by 53% or 27 times faster reporting. That's a big thing, right? So performance has been a big issue when we talk about implementations, and data workflow, data fabric is definitely a big thing. Let's take a look. This is generic. Let's take a closer look to the GCC region, and I will touch in very quickly on a few things here. I can see the time we're heading to half an hour. So the growth in the region is actually driven by the what we mentioned before, digital transformation. All of us heard about the Vision 2030. UAE as well, they have a vision for 2030. I believe it's 100% digitalization of the government by 2030. Qatar as well, they have a similar commitment. And some of the big companies playing big roles like Deloitte and others in the region, working closely with the Qatar Ministry of Communication to implement smart governments. The region has unlimited opportunities related to digital transformation, industry-specific demand like of oil and specifically government. And I mentioned about the citizen services. That's a big thing, and ServiceNow is leading in that space. The region also has strategic partnership with big companies like Microsoft, Oracle, and SAP and ServiceNow, ESG initiatives, which I mentioned already, and the region is doing really, really well. And UAE Cybersecurity Council implemented the ESG with the partnership with the ServiceNow. Still, however, with all the opportunities, we have some challenges in the region. The main challenge is number one is the talent acquisition and retention. And I believe that's one of the biggest challenges. ServiceNow itself is not an old, like compared to Oracle or to SAP, because ServiceNow founded in 2003. So it's like just 22 years old application platform, actually, I meant to say. So the skill set and the knowledge of the ServiceNow definitely in short, specifically in the region. Alignment with the regulations is another thing. We talked about security, mandates, and making sure that the AI solutions are aligned with ethical and other regulations. In the region, everyone knows that the localization, Arabic is a dominant in the GCC and Middle East, and the market customization for some of the regulations like zakah, sharia, and other compliance, and the economic diversification pressure. And what I mean by that is while the economic diversification is coming with opportunities, but because there's a lot going in the region, you know that Saudi Arabia is actually hosting the football National World Cup, early 30, and other big events, which is shifting the focus a little bit from technology at some time. So while it's an opportunity, it's also could be a challenge. Local market drivers, in addition to what we talked about, I just want to mention about the national visions. And again, Saudi National Vision 2030, UAE, Qatar, they have similar visions and commitments, and no one can deny the race, the competition. Every day we've heard about yesterday that UAE is investing 1.4 trillion in USA, not only in technology, but you can say that's healthy competition in the region, which is definitely technology will get benefit of. diversification, which we mentioned, and stakeholders demand and investor confidence. Like there is a focus in Saudi Arabia being the biggest economy in the region. In the private sector, it's growing really fast. 65% of the shift to the rose the Saudi GDP for private sector. So it is big. It is massive opportunities for all the organizations. The final thing I want to touch base quickly is how to be ready. It's basically to tackle the challenges we talked about. I mentioned about the silo, so you make sure that you have the connect workflows enterprise-wide, avoid silos and functions. This is the evolution that ServiceNow is bringing to the table. That's it's been all the time. We have HR, procurement, finance, not necessarily talking to each other in the or using the same base platform. ServiceNow is bringing this to the table. That's same workflow, same schema database, and same process, which is or very similar process. Redefine industries, and ServiceNow is making it very easy to create your own applications using no code, low code applications, and creating a specific healthcare applications, creating a specific for the oil sector. I know there's a partnership between Aramco and ServiceNow. And the final thing, or maybe the biggest thing, is augment humans. Are you ready for our co-workers from AI? I posted last week is a post in LinkedIn about will AI take my job? It's a good question to ask, and I elaborated that is, are you at risk or not? Feel free to read that, but I like what's been said, that AI is to replace our inefficiencies rather than replacing our job. It's basically to allow us to focus in delivering on more interesting things and helping us. But keep in mind, I'm not talking about assistant anymore. That's the old generation. The new generation, you're talking about co-workers, and it's something interesting to think about. Um, that's all I got for you today. I hope it was useful and helpful, and I'm happy to take any questions. Back to you, Hussein.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Anwar, that was an amazing presentation, and I myself have a lot of questions that I would need to ask. But first, let me just take over from here and see what sort of questions did come along. Let's see now. Everyone, please, whatever questions that you do have, do share it with us, and we will try to answer them on here. Mm, okay, one person just asked me, which ServiceNow modules or capabilities are most transformative? I think they are considering in based on the skill set that would be giving them a better opportunity.
To be honest, what I've seen in the last few months, I would say all of them. None of them is far from being a big change, specifically with the AI, right? So there's a recommendation, and if you're familiar with the Now Create, you'll find in the ServiceNow a recommended approach to implement ServiceNow. So usually what I've seen is usually companies start with the ITSM and then move to adding ITOM and others. But there's a big work by ServiceNow injecting AI assistant and AI agent in all of their applications. But most of the company, maybe all of the companies I've seen during my career, start with the ITSM, which is the focus on the IT. The evolution of the ServiceNow itself is actually for those who following it, it started in 2003 as a ticketing system only for IT, but very quickly moved to non-IT and then moved to be a platform, I think in 2016. And in 2020, they started in 2019, it launched the AI and moved to the data fabric, I think in 2023. So it's very exciting. It's changing a lot, and it depends on the sector you are. The application will have a different impact.
Okay, okay, excellent. I hope he was able to get the answer that he needed. Okay, so we have another question. How does ServiceNow supports the culture for continuous improvement, and how do we adapt it to our organizations? Hmm.
That's a big question, right?
Hmm.
So in the now create delivery, which is so now actually ServiceNow created a methodology based on thousands of implementations, and this they call it now create. In the now create, it has actually six phases, and it has five knowledge areas, including the value management and analytics. But one of the main areas is the change management, or OCM. What I mean by change is not the ITSM change management. I mean the organization change management. So how ServiceNow is supporting the change and the adoption is by creating a full um, uh, knowledge area related to how to help organization to assess before adoption using surveys. There are pre-implementation surveys, during implementation surveys, and post-implementation survey, for example, and other tools. I strongly recommend for any company planning to implement ServiceNow to search, look for the Now Create. I'm posting every week a post about Now Create and different topic about the Now Create, but in my view, it's a must to implement ServiceNow. For the continuous improvement, is that's about the I haven't seen any company actually launching a new release every 6 months. I haven't seen any. My background is in ERP. I used to be Oracle and MS Dynamics consultant, and you've seen the release comes every year. The maximum is every year. ServiceNow has a release every 6 months, full
Hmm.
of new features. So it's definitely it's yeah, and ServiceNow has been winning this innovation awards for the last maybe 10 years. So very excited.
True, 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 very true. Okay, I think we have another question over here. One second. Yes. Uh, he is asking about the Now Create itself as to how does it adapt to the localized challenges, for example, in KSA or UAE.
Yeah, that's a great question actually. The Now Create is a hybrid methodology, waterfall and agile. And what I've seen in the region, first-hand experience, that's at sometimes some of the organizations are not ready for the high pace agile way. So now Create is resolving that problem because you can implement basically the waterfall, the approval and gates and phases, and keep the agile to the development. So, and that's what we've been doing the sprints and the agile bit in the background for the development. But I think that was a long answer. The short answer is now Create is highly adjustable, and you can pick and choose what you like to implement and what you don't like to implement. I like to describe it as accelerator. So basically, the main purpose and reason for the Now Create is to speed up your delivery instead of reinventing the wheel. You get the artifacts, including, by the way, the design workshops, presentations, kickstart, user stories, and more many artifacts. So as I said, it's a must for any ServiceNow implementation. Okay,
Okay. All right.
Hussein?
Um, uh, I think there is another question over here. But I have a few questions of my own. I would like to ask some of them. So during your presentation, you said that there is like a change of almost 65% into private sector in terms of investment in KSA and everything. So seeing that change and seeing the future in that sense, what would you recommend as a person who has recently or like for a year or 2 year he has joined with the world of ServiceNow and into the ServiceNow ecosystem? How would you suggest for them to take this career transformation, or what is their career path supposed to be?
The career path for the private, you mean for the audience?
For the audience, this question of mine is for the audience. Like, what career path would you recommend for someone in the way that the service now is moving, and the way that the trend is being set, especially in the Middle East? What career path would you say for someone that has just finished up with the basic and a very foundational certification on service now?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think it's that will vary from person to person and the background as well. If you are technical, you most probably move towards the architecture and technical aspect. If you're more into the business, you will be more about the functional aspects. I think there are things like shared. You need obviously to start with the basic knowledge and maybe doing the CSA, the system administrator. That's the starting point. If you are in a specific, let's say you are more into ITSM, you need to attend some of the good training by ServiceNow, and you start to explore. It's a massive opportunity, and there are different career paths that you can follow.
True, true, true. Okay. I think we can take one more question over here. Let's see if someone has anything interesting. Mm. Yes. Uh, it is being asked over here about the yeah. Okay. So upcoming innovations on service now in the platform, like what should organizations watch, and like how should they be going about on it?
Yeah, I think this is related to the last two slides. So the trends is what I'm sharing currently in the screen. As you can see, so the AI, the limits are like the sky, literally. Last year, we've been talking about generative AI. Now we're talking about agentic AI. I've heard there's work happening in the modeling AI. Actually, ServiceNow, there was an acquisition by ServiceNow 2 weeks back. And this is all telling. I've been listening to Bill, CEO of ServiceNow, recently, and he was literally in all the interviews talking about AI for maybe 80 to 90% of the interview. And he's saying is we're not a workflow a company anymore. We are a AI workflow company. And even if you're following the ServiceNow website and webinars, it's now they're including AI everywhere. It's a layer. I think also the data fabric is a big space because it's the speed is bringing. I mentioned before, it's like 27 times quicker reporting, which is a big change. How to be ready is this is basically the last slide in here. How to be ready, break the silo, redefine industries, and augment humans. I think this is the big one. How to be ready for AI. That's a very big topic. It's actually a webinar by itself. But
Maybe
ServiceNow.
we shall make another webinar based on that as well.
Actually, I attended 2 days back a webinar by ServiceNow talking about that
Mm,
exact topic, how to be ready for AI. Yeah, so but
okay.
it's a big topic.
All right. All right. Okay. I think there are no more questions on it. So, Anwar, let's the overall discussion that we have done. Give us a type of a an ending, a conclusion as to what should we look forward to from here.
I think the one advice, and it's not my advice actually, it's Bill, CEO of ServiceNow advice. If you wait for the change, it's gonna be too late. Start embracing the change today. So it's changing very fast. If you think, oh, I'll wait for next year to see how it's going, that's going to be you already behind. You have to focus on AI. You have to focus on starting the journey as soon as possible. Get connected to the ServiceNow. Get connected to the ServiceNow partners. If you have a partner, ask them their advice, what you could do as an organization to achieve the business goals and start today. I think that's my advice.
Indeed, indeed. Excellent. So I think we have concluded the entirety of our presentation on the webinar. Most of the question and answers that were asked throughout the session over here, I think those were answered as well. Um, and of course, the insightful and additional thoughts that Anwar shared with us, that that is something that we of course need to follow through on that. And I think yeah, so Anwar, thank you again for your time and the
Thank you very
expertise
much.
that you shared with us. And thank you again to our audience that were joining us. Feel free to connect with us for the post-webinar insights on ServiceNow. So until next time, Anwar, again, thank you so much,
Thank you
and
very much.
do have a great time ahead, and happy Ramadan.
Thank you.
All right, Anwar, take care. So this concludes our presentation on webinar. And again, do connect with us after the webinar on the post insights. And looking forward to seeing you all sharing and subscribing to us and joining our group and liking our page on LinkedIn. Thank you again. Take care.